as an investor, as a fund manager, what do you like about this sector, and why should you or anybody else put money in companies operating in this sector?
So, at ProInvest Nirmiti, when we analyze companies, we focus a lot on something called reinvestment rate. So, what it tells us, let's say if I make 100 crores this year, how much am I able to invest for growth in the future years? So, what we've seen that not a lot of companies can even invest 30% of that. So, they either store it on their balance sheet or they pay it out as dividends or buybacks. But in banking, we've seen companies who can reinvest either 100% or even more than 120%. So this can drive growth in a huge way going ahead. So, what happens is if you are growing at 20% and if you have a ROE of 20%, you don't need to raise capital. Your growth, which you have to do through disbursements, is matched by what you make as profits. But now if your ROE is 20% and if you're making, or if you're growing by 30-35%, which is in the case of banks like AU Small Finance Bank or NBFCs like Bajaj Finance, they have to do a capital raise every 3-4 years. And these companies like Bajaj Finance, they always used to do a capital raise at very good valuations. So this ensured minimum capital dilution, and so which was very good for the existing investors. And this could help them accelerate their growth each and every year, and thereby generating a lot of money. So now let's compare this reinvestment rate concept to, let's say, real estate. Growing there, it's very difficult. So there's also a thing called building a book. So in bank, what you do is you have an AUM and you charge interest on that AUM. So let's say if you have 100 crores, or let's say in housing, you originate a loan of 100 crores in the first year, then you keep on charging interest every month through EMIs. The next year, if you want to grow by 20%, your 100 crores could have gone down to 90 crores because people might have paid their principal back. You just need to originate 30 crores worth of loan and you get a 20% growth. But in real estate, if you sell 1,000 flats in the first year, you have to build first more 1,000 flats, sell them, build 200 more flats and sell them to achieve 20% growth. Right. So, it's like running on a treadmill for these companies. It's very difficult to go ahead. And what I've seen a similar concept is that many SaaS companies, they have the same method. It's a different thing, but what they have is a subscription as a service part where they bill you each month. And whenever a new customer is added, growth accelerates. So they don't have to start from scratch like licensing companies. So this is the same concept there. And as I mentioned, like why I like to invest here is firstly, it's well regulated. The bigger you are, it's more of a responsibility of the regulator to ensure that you're functioning properly. So the too big to fail concept is very eminent here.
Yeah, but give me some numbers. Right? Give me some numbers in terms of returns, either by HDFC or SBI or any company that you might have researched over the last decade or 2 decades or 3 decades. How much money have they made? Suppose I invested 10,000 rupees or 1,00,000 rupees in any of these companies. How much would I have made? Any rough numbers that you have?
So, in the last 15 years, I guess HDFC Bank has consistently, since they've grown at 20%, their share price has also compounded at 20%. Bajaj Finance, since they, whenever they started to focus on the consumer business, they've delivered a CAGR of more than 42%. So 42% is like your money doubles every 2 years. So, that is the amount of wealth creation which they have done for the investor.
Brilliant. So there's lots of money to be made on an individual level, right? And HDFC, those who hold HDFC shares today, they tell me this has been their best, or majority of their returns have come from HDFC shares in their portfolio, right? Compared, like everything else put together versus HDFC, and HDFC still stands out. right? And so that's a great business to be in, and it can only get bigger.
Yeah.